In this video, I'm going to vibe clone WhatsApp using Cursor 2.0. I'll be using React Native and Expo to make the native mobile application and Supabase for the backend. To log into the application, I'll use a simple email sign in form and not the standard phone login with OTP that WhatsApp has. I can always replace this with the phone login as a separate feature. I'll start off with one-on-one chat messages and group chats. To start with, I'll skip the additional chat features like attach image or document. And I'll also skip the WhatsApp stories, communities, and voice video call. These can be added features that I can vibe code later on. So I have a fresh new folder with no code in it. And I'll start off with my first prompt for Cursor 2.0. Now I'll be using Claude 4.5 Sonnet to create the initial draft of the application. Now let's start with a simple prompt, build a WhatsApp clone. I'll also mention the tech stack that I would like to use. So I want to use React Native and Expo. And as the database, I will use Supabase. Now I'll also mention the features that I'm looking for, like say one-on-one chat or group chat. I'll also add the login sign up with email. Now to be clear, I also want to mention the features that I don't want, because otherwise it opens the option for the LLM to decide a lot on its own. So I'll add images or video in chat as a feature I don't want, or WhatsApp stories, community, voice, video call. These are all features I can enhance later. Now one last thing, just for my bookkeeping, I would add a note that says use WAC underscore as a prefix for Supabase entities. And this is because my Supabase project that I'm using is used by a lot of applications. So I don't want multiple tables of different applications being conflicting with each other. Okay, so with that, we'll get started with the generation of the initial draft. So you can see that Claude Sonnet and Cursor have put together a to-do list before it gets started. So let's quickly go through this to-do list of 8 items. It has initialize Expo React Native project, and it has setting up the Supabase configuration and create the database schema. So here it has noted the WAC prefix that I had asked it to do. It'll add the authentication system, which is perfectly fine. Navigation structure and screen components also obvious. And it's going to implement the one-on-one chat functionality with real-time messaging and the group chat functionality, right? So that would complete the main 2 functionalities. The UI component and styling would be the second last item before actually testing and finalizing the application. So a lot of the actual files are getting created. I can also go to the editor tab and quickly see that yes, all my files are getting created correctly. So let's quickly understand what is happening under the hood. So the most important folder that gets created is the SRC, or the source folder. Inside the source folder, you'll have the context, lib, screens, and types. So these folders contain the actual logic of the application as well as the UI of the application. So in the screens folder, you can see that there are different screens that are getting created. The TSX files are the React Native UI screens that are getting created, like chat screen, chat list screen, or like a login screen, and so on. Now under the lib folder, you'll have a supabase.ts. This is the actual connection to the Supabase database that the application will talk to. So now let's head back to the agents tab and see the current status of the generation. So the LLM has created most of the files that I need. It is asking me for a confirmation to edit a git ignore file, which I'll accept. So all 8 to-do items have been completed by the LLM, and it has also created a quick start.md file. This quick start guide tells me that I need to have a Node.js installed, I need to have Expo Go app ready, as well as a Supabase account. So let's quickly set these up. Now if I quickly Google for Expo Go, I can see that there is a Expo Go website, but also 2 applications, the Expo Go app on the Google Play Store as well as the App Store. So now that I've downloaded the Expo Go app, I need to also set up my Supabase account. Now if I go to supabase.com, I can click on the dashboard icon and I can see my org. So by default, when you create an account, you'll get the org. I'll also go to my project. This is a dummy project that I use for most of my vibe coding applications. Now here you can see that I have a bunch of tables that I have already created for different projects. So since I had asked that all my tables and entities be created with WAP prefix, it should be safe to use the same project for multiple applications. So as a prerequisite, I have completed all 3 of these items. Now before I test my application, I do need to have Supabase URL and the Supabase private key in my local file. This is the way our React Native application can actually talk to the Supabase project that we have built. Now to get my Supabase credentials, I can simply go to the Supabase dashboard and click on this connect button on the top. Now if I go to the app framework tab and select React, I can simply click on the env.local file and copy the credentials from there. Now if I go back to my editor, I can just click on right click and say new file and do .env. and copy the credentials over here. So you can copy these URL and anon key values either directly in the supabase.ts file that's created. Now, since this is vibe coding, different LLMs might respond with different structures. So typically I don't like to have the URL key saved inside the file itself. I would change it with a process.env.expo public supabase URL, which will fetch it from a local .env file that I have created. And similarly, I would do process.env anon key as well. So now this is fetching it from the local environment variable. So I go to my .env file, I can see that it's empty. So I can copy this variable name expo public supabase URL and paste this value here. Similarly, the anon key value, and also paste that here. Okay, so this is how your env file would look with both the variables added. Claude typically also creates an architecture.md, definitely worth a read to learn and understand what is happening under the hood. Now let's try running the application. I would go and click on connect to browser and select the browser tab. So you can see that there are two options, the browser tab, which is the inbuilt cursor browser, or Google Chrome, which actually opens a tab on Chrome to test it. Right now we are testing it on the local application. You can also use Expo Go to run it on your mobile phone. Now before I run my application, I need my Supabase to have the tables and the data that I want to insert. So I have a file called supabase-schema.sql, and typically Sonnet would create such a file for you when you are creating a vibe coding application. You can see that in this file, the content is something like create table WAC_users. So if you remember in the original prompt, I had mentioned WAC_ as a prefix so that it doesn't conflict with the existing tables that I have in my Supabase. So I can just copy this entire file called supabase-schema.sql, go to supabase.com on my dashboard and go to my SQL editor. And I can paste this entire new query. I can select all and say run selected. This would now create the tables that I need to insert the data in my database. Okay, so now it shows success, no rows returned. That means that the table creation is successfully done. I can confirm it by going to my database section and clicking on tables. And here I can see that there are 4 new tables created called WAC chat participants, chats, messages, and users. Now let's run the application using npm run start. Now I'll just tell the agent to run npm run start, and this would then trigger the application in the terminal. So when I run npm run start, I see a QR code which I can directly scan on my mobile phone, which opens the Expo Go app on my local phone. Now when I scan the application, you can see that it says Android bundled because it's loading on my Expo Go application. Now comes the debugging part. So as and when I get a few errors, I can copy paste from here and keep telling the AI to fix it. The issue seems to be because the app is trying to fetch a user profile that doesn't exist in WAC users. WAC users is the name of the database table that we created. So the issue was that there was no login screen shown in my application when I tried to log in. Now when I open the app, it should show me the login screen. So to make the demo easier, I clicked on W for web to be able to actually see the application running in my cursor, but it threw an error. So I'll just do an npx expo install React DOM and React Native Web to be able to show you the demo running in my local browser inside cursor. Okay, so on my local browser, now I can see that the UI for the WhatsApp clone application that I built is visible. So let's try creating an account and see if my sign in sign up process is working. So by default, Supabase will always send a confirmation email. So if you are using dummy emails like abc@test.com and so on, make sure that you go into your sign-in providers under authentication tab and switch off your confirm email setting so that it doesn't send a confirmation email to start using your email ID in your application. So now I can go into the running application and create a new user. So when I click on sign up, the new user gets created in my system and I can log in with the new user that I just entered. I can also confirm if this user has been added in my system. If I check my table editor and see my new table called WAC users, I can see that there is a new email ID called harry@hogwarts.com already created. And I should also be able to log in with this new username password. So this is the screen that automatically got generated when I log in as Harry. Now I have an option of clicking new chat or new group. Currently there are no other users, so I won't be able to search for any other users. So let me sign out and create more users to test this application. So when I click on sign out, I see that there is some problem. It doesn't really work correctly. So I try to debug with the console and I see there is an infinite recursion detected in policy for the WAC chat participant. So I directly mentioned that sign out doesn't work, and now it's trying to fetch the sign out button logic and try to update the code itself. So now when I click on the sign out, I see this pop-up that comes up says, are you sure you want to sign out? If I click on OK, it automatically goes back to the sign in page. So here I click on sign up again, and maybe I log in with a different account. Great, so I'm now logging with a new user account called Hermione, and if I sign up, this creates a new user, and now when I click on new chat, I can see the previous user that I had created. So now the two users can communicate with each other. I'll just quickly go back to my Supabase dashboard, and here I can see that Harry, Hermione, both users are available. Now, when I've logged in as Hermione and tried to click on Harry's user, it throws an error that infinite recursion detected in policy. So I'll copy the error from here and ask the agent to fix this entire error. So Claude is telling me that this issue is a database level error with the RLS, which is the row level security policies in Supabase. Great. So now the agent has created a new Supabase schema fixed.sql, which I can directly take to my SQL editor and select all and click on run. So this would throw me an error that ensure that these are intentional, query has destructive operations. So what I typically do is to just confirm if all the prefixes are in place so that it doesn't affect any of my existing database tables. So if it is WAC underscore throughout, then I'm okay because these are the tables I've created only for this project. So I select all and say run selected, and I'm okay. I say run query. And now it says success, no returns, just like before. So I should be able to retest this application and check if it's working now.
A few moments later.
Okay, so multiple attempts at fixing the API call didn't really work. So I'm trying to do something different. I'll try the API call 1 and I give the response that everything is fine. This is the WAC users to fetch the list of users itself. The API call 2 is the chat participants, and the third is the actual chat itself when I'm trying to create a new chat. So the API call 1 is a get call to fetch the list of users. API call 2 is get call to fetch the list of chat participants, but I'm trying to create a new chat with another user. That's the post call or the create call. And that's the one which is throwing a 403 forbidden error. And I've given the exact detail of what the error response also is. And what I'm trying to do here is to provide this task to multiple LLMs. Composer 1, which is the Claude's own LLM, Claude 4.5 Sonnet, GPT 5.1 Codex, which has recently been released, and Gemini 2.5 Pro. And I'm hoping that one of them will be able to fix this for me. So when I click OK, I can see that all 4 of them are running parallelly with different responses maybe. I'll go through each of them one by one and see which of them was able to fix my problem for me. So Composer 1 was the fastest, which is Cursor's own model. Let me see if its fix actually helps me. So Composer 1 has given me an SQL to run in the SQL dashboard. Let me try if this works. Okay, so I tried the solution by Composer 1, but that didn't really help me. So let me check the other solution. So Claude 4.5 Sonnet has again given me a different solution. Now I'm executing the query by Claude Sonnet 4.5 and seeing if that helps. So finally, after running the SQL policy, which I got from Gemini 2.5 Pro, is when I finally was able to click on new chat, select Harry Potter, and this opens a new chat window for me correctly. So let me try clicking say hi, this is Hermione, and click send. I can see that the new chat, hi, this is Hermione, is correctly added to the chat window. Okay, so now let me quickly test if the group functionality is working out of the box. I click on the new group button. I see obviously only one user. So I am currently logging in as Hermione. I can see Harry. So I select the user. Select seems to be working fine. I need a group name. So say I select say the smart Gryffindors and not allow Ron to come in. And I realize that there's no next button. So if I want to create the group, there's no create button at all. So let me again go back to my agent and ask, I need a create button on the new group page after adding the group name and selecting the user. So the LLM says that it will create a new button to the new group page, and it has already identified the lines that it has to add the fix to. Do you want it to be visible but disabled until requirements are met? So yes, I said that I want it to be disabled until I fill the name of the group and I select at least one user. I should not be able to create the group. So when I click on next, it is now trying to fix and add this button. Perfect. So now the LLM has already added the create group button, but also disabled it until the text is filled. So let me try testing this again and check if the create group button gets enabled once I fill the name and select one user. So I go back to my initial page, I click on new group, and by default the create group button is disabled as expected. Now I say smart Gryffindors and select the user, but create group is still not enabled. But now if you see the description that the agent has mentioned, it will be unclickable until you enter a group name and select at least 2 members. Unfortunately, in my current test, I only have 1 member. So either I can change the rule to make sure that only 1 member is sufficient, so me and 1 more member, or I need to be able to actually add 2 more members. So I will fix the rule such that me and 1 more member should be sufficient. Okay, so I've mentioned that I can see the create group button, but 1 other member apart from me should be sufficient, but the button is not getting clickable. Okay, so now let me go back to my home screen, refresh and click on new group. Again, I will start with the group name and select one user, and now I can see that the create group button is enabled. So I click on create group, but it does nothing. So now I have to fix the error here. Now the issue was that clicking on create group created the group, but it did not refresh the screen. So when I came back to the main screen and clicked on refresh, I could see that the Smart Gryffindors group has now been created. So if I go inside this group and say hi group test 1 and I have logged in as Hermione, so I should be able to see the group chat now. Now let's fix a few basic bugs. So if I say type Hermione 3, this doesn't automatically refresh the screen. So let me select this entire section and ask Claude when I type a message and click send, it doesn't refresh the screen chats automatically. Okay, so the LLM did a couple of changes. It added an immediate local update after sending. It also added a prevent duplicate messages. Now let's test if this works fine. I click on Hermione 4 and I can already see the chat coming up instantly. So let me also test this for the group chat. I will say group chat 2 and click on send. Yes, so it does automatically refresh it on the screen. Now let's test running this application on an iOS phone. Okay, so now I'll open the same application on my iPhone using Expo Go. And here I can see that when I log in as Harry, I can see Hermione's chat. I can click here and say this is Harry 2. And when I click on send, I can see that the previous messages from Hermione is already there, and I can see my chat messages as well. There are still some issues like this empty space between the chatbot and the keyboard, and there is no background, and we still haven't added the attachments and images and the other skipped features. But overall, the basic functionality is working fine. I can also quickly check the group chat feature. So when I click on the group chat, I can see that the existing messages from Hermione are already there. Now I can say group chat message from Harry 1 and click on send. And this also works fine. And if I go back to my Supabase, I can see the messages that have been recently added, including the group chat message from Harry 1 that I just typed in. So this is getting inserted into my Supabase account as well. And finally, if you want to test this application on your local system, I have pushed the entire code base to a public GitHub repo. It includes all the SQL files as well as the MD files to understand what the code is about, and also how to set up the 4 database tables in Supabase. This video is part of a series called Vibe Clone, where I teach you how to build a complete mobile application with AI. So let me know in the comments what you would like to learn next.